able to jump on in. Welcome to Black Girl Beauty Chitter Chatter. Ladies, this is episode 3. I am so happy to have you here. It is a plum-pleasing pleasure to have each and every one of you here to be a part of this live with me here tonight. Alexa, volume 4. When I have a great entertainment for you tonight, great episode. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about dealing with grief. Grief is a very, very sensitive topic that most people, period, don't like to deal with, but especially women and Black women. We don't like to really deal with grief. Alexa, volume 2. We don't really like Alexa, volume 2. Yeah, Alexa's really doing a lot tonight. So we're going to be dealing with grief tonight, ladies. So make sure you go ahead and get your wine glasses in. And I want to say hello to everyone that's here. Thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you guys for sticking around for the little technical difficulties because I was about 10 minutes late tuning in. But I am here, Black Girl Beauty Chitter Chatter. So you can drop your comments. Let me know that you're here. Share this live on your social medias just so that everyone can tune in and be a part of the live here tonight. We are going to be dealing with grief, ladies. We're going to be tapping into that emotion that we don't normally tap into. And I'm going to tell you about the plum story. I'm going to tell you how I became the plum. And tonight we will be dyeing our hair. Well, guess I'm gonna go ahead and tell you tonight I'm gonna be dyeing my hair. I'm gonna show you the process that it took for me to become the plum, to dye my hair purple, because I never thought I would. I was blonde. I always say I wanted to dye it blonde. Still to this day I would like to dye it blonde. Me having my hair purple is discipline. Like, so many people think I have my hair purple because it's my favorite color. I do not. I don't know. I've never really been into purple like that. It's a okay color. It's cool, and I rock it very well, if I do say so myself. But it's not my favorite color. Me dyeing my hair purple was a way for me to deal with and process the grief that I was going through, that I didn't even know I was going through. You know, I had to go through the situation and experience some things to even realize and recognize what I was going through as grief. So I'm going to tell you that story and let you guys know about the plum. So I want to begin tonight with can you guys hear me? Hey, good evening. Hey, I don't know who that is. Facebook says just show up. But I'm so glad to have you guys here. How you doing? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Drop some comments in there because some people are saying they still can't hear me. I want to be sure that everybody can hear me. Everybody can see me. You know, we're gonna be dealing with grief tonight. Okay, you can hear me. Hey, Quaisha, nice to see you guys. I'm so happy that you guys are tuning in. We're gonna be dealing with grief and tapping into that tonight, ladies. So I hope you're ready because it is a very, very sensitive topic and most of us don't really like to deal with it. So I'm going to begin tonight with a poem, and it's called Learn How to Grieve, because we have to learn how to do that. Learn how to grieve. I urge you to understand death and learn and allow yourself to grieve. Because living with the hurt of death while trying not to grieve makes it so easy to choke and so hard to breathe. Death may not be easy to you, but death is something you have to learn to go through because death is a mandatory part of life. Some people and some things have to die for things to change or turn out right. All things will come to an end, but you have to understand death so that you don't break. It's okay to bend. Don't be afraid to cry and don't be afraid to shed a tear. Grieve for your loved ones. Never forget they were here. Grieve every time you need to. Absolutely everywhere. Sometimes in grief, we pray for time, more time to love and spend. But sometimes those are selfish prayers that we pray to hold on to our kin. Because sometimes what we fail to realize or to understand is that sometimes real peace comes in the end. Truth be told. And that is actually just a snippet of that poem. But it's really just to get your minds ready and to open your minds as to what we're going to be talking about tonight. Because when it comes to dealing with grief. Sometimes we don't think it's fair. We don't understand it. We don't think we can deal with it. Some people have really lost people that really mean the world to them. We have a special guest speaker coming in here tonight, and I'm so very, very excited to introduce her to you ladies here tonight. Her name is Miss Tammy Charles, and she will be coming in to share her story of her situation where she was dealing with grief and how it affected her and where she went and how it changed her, because we deal with grief differently. Everybody has their own way of dealing with grief. And as women, as human beings, we have to learn how to love our loved ones while they are grieving. That is one of the things that I want to tap into here today, because we have a bad habit of not recognizing grief as what it is. Like, you have a friend that maybe have just lost a parent, or you have a friend that maybe have just they lost a friend, or they lost a close one. And so every time you're around them now, maybe they have a little attitude, or every time you're around them, maybe they're acting some type of way, or every time you're around them, they're doing something it's just a little bit much. And instead of you recognizing what they're going through as an emotional situation, or as them grieving, you see it as they're tripping. They're going through, they're tripping, they're doing the most, they're getting on my nerves. Never mind the fact that they just buried their parent. Never mind the fact that they can't really even process what's going on, because sometimes in our minds we have it set up where we think that everything is about us. Everything that's happening is happening because of us, because of something that we did, because of something that someone else feels about us. And that's why understanding grief is so important. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody goes through their own grieving process. Speaking of which, that brings me to it's hard for you. You need someone to talk to. Yes. Sometimes when we're going through grief, we need somebody to talk to. We need somebody to start the conversation. That's what we're doing here tonight, ladies. We are starting the conversation of dealing with grief. We are starting the conversation of what is it that I need to do to deal with grief, because you have to tap into grief when it's attacking you, no matter if it's a death, if it's a hurt, if it's like this. You can be grieving from something that happened to you emotionally. We go through things in our relationship. We go through things in life. We deal with so many things as women and as humans that we don't really deal with it and grieve it. That is why things weigh on our shoulders. When we let things weigh down on our shoulders, I said this earlier, but I don't know if you guys caught it. I call those shoulder weights. Shoulder things that you allow to weigh down on your shoulders hold you down, and they hold you down, and they hold you down. And then one day, sometime you might collapse. And when you collapse, you don't even understand what it was about or how it happened. That is grief, ladies and gentlemen. And we don't always recognize it for what it is. That's why so many problems occur. So on this moment, we're going to go right along and take another sip. I don't even know. See, I had a little technical issue this earlier, so I had to restart this live. So I don't know if I told you guys what I'm drinking tonight. I am drinking the regular Taylor Port, and that is how I'm dealing with that. And my grieving process, for me, it was the plum. Because like I told you earlier, I didn't dye my hair purple because it's my favorite color. I dyed my hair purple in remembrance to the people that meant so much to me that I lost so unexpectedly, that I never thought I would deal with. I buried my granddaddy in 2009, my freshman year in college. And that was the beginning of the whirlpool that I got caught up in, that I wasn't even aware that I got caught up in. We buried him in purple. My grandmother's favorite color was purple. My niece, she passed away from cancer. Her favorite color was purple. One of my best friends, she passed away. Her favorite color was purple. And my aunt, I don't even know 100% certain if her favorite color was purple, but I think it was, so I'm going to say it was. But in a nutshell, I dyed my hair purple in remembrance of them. And today, on this live, what I'm going to be doing is, you know what? Okay, it's my thing is going off. It is actually almost 8:30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and begin my hair process so that when it comes time to wash it out, I'll be bringing in my guest, because she's going to come in and she's going to tell her story. And tell you her experience of dealing with grief, because how I dealt with all those people that I lost in my life that I didn't know, that I didn't expect to lose, and the type of person that I am, I don't deal with my emotions. And to know me is to know I will ignore. Like, something happens, I'm either going to handle it or I'm not going to handle it. And I'm just going to keep it moving and act like it didn't happen. And when you're dealing with grief, you can't handle it like that, because you don't know what it's going to do to you. You don't know what toll it's going to take on you. And you actually don't know what's going to happen to you throughout the day that's going to cause you to explode. That's why it's also important to know God, because God will help you process grief in a way that you didn't even know you could process it. And that's how you need to start processing grief, because it is one of those animals that will come in like the devil to kill and destroy. So I'm going to tell you why I dyed my hair. I dyed my hair purple for them. So I'm going to show you the exact process of how I dye my hair, because so many people ask me, do I dye it myself? What colors do I use? I use the BW2, and I'm using 50 volumes. I normally use a 40 volume. So that's what I'm going to do. I already mixed it here, as you can see. And I'm going to put that in, because I never would have dyed my hair purple. I never thought I would. But I dyed my hair purple in remembrance of my loved ones that I lost. And I woke up and it was just my hair. But I'm one of those type people. I live by coordination. So I said, I dye my hair purple. I'm gonna wear purple shoes every day. And at the time, I had no purple shoes. But I was so in my mind dealing with everything that I was dealing with, purple became my obsession. So everywhere I went, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just buy something purple. I'm gonna buy something purple. I'm gonna buy something purple. And that's how I dealt with that. So every time, it also helped me save money, because I also wouldn't buy anything unless it was purple. If it wasn't purple, I didn't want to buy it. And every time I bought something purple, it reminded me of my aunt, my niece, my grandma, my friend. It reminded me of them. And the discipline of wearing this color purple, that is not my favorite color purple, I literally, to know me is to know that I'm a very private person. I'm an entertainer by career. But naturally on my day-to-day, every day walking around, I'm a private person. It's really just me. I just entertain, and that's just how I move out through life. But I said that to say, when I dyed my hair purple, from the day I dyed my hair purple to this very day, everyone just assumed it was my favorite color. So when I step out and I'm walking around, people literally come up to me like, hey, I bet I can guess your favorite color. Hey, I bet I can guess your favorite color. So much so that people really think I'm being smart, or I'm just trying to be rude when I say, no, it's blue. And that is really funny to me. I died, and it just really pushed me to realize that there was something more I was supposed to be doing, because I dyed my hair purple in remembrance of my loved ones that passed away, just to help me cope and deal with it. Because you can't forget your loved ones. Like I said in the poem, you have to remember who they are and keep them going. And you also have to push forward throughout everything. This is just how I deal with what I deal with, and how I move through my grief. Seeing you guys. Hey, you guys. See you ladies here. I'm so glad that you guys are here. We're talking about grief here tonight, and I'm telling you about my grief story and how I dealt with it, because I dyed my hair purple to deal with my grief. So like I was saying, every time someone asks me about my hair, I have to tell my story, because they think I'm rude when I say it's not purple, it's blue. They're like, oh, you're being rude. And I'm really not. So then that's when I explain to them why I dyed my hair purple. And it makes sense. And it also, I didn't realize it. It gives me something to talk about, to make me remember those that I lost, my loved ones. And that's just it. This is just a grieving process that I didn't even know was a process. And day by day, I started feeling better. I started pushing myself. I really started walking into more of the woman that I was supposed to be in, and not dwelling so much on the fact that I had lost my loved ones. Because once you lose whoever you lose, you can't bring them back. And that's something that we need to realize as Black women as well. You have to understand that death is going to happen. And whether we want to or not, we have to learn how to process that and deal with the grief of losing someone, because it's going to happen. It's the inevitable. Like it's nothing we can do about it. So I want to go ahead and introduce my guest, Miss Tammy Charles. So she's here. I want her to come in and let you guys know who she is and tell you guys a little bit about her. And I'm going to go ahead and start dyeing my hair. Miss Tammy, you can go ahead and tell everyone about yourself. And welcome here. I'm so happy to have you. And thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited about what you're doing and your zeal and your vigor about it. I thank God for you and for you using your gifts. Sometimes we get told to do stuff and we just treat it like a robocall. But you answered the call and I appreciate you. As she said, I am Tammy Charles and I am more than happy to be here. And happy Black History Month. We are day 18 in this thing. I hope everybody had an incredible month. It's the second day of the Lenten season. So, if you guys, it still ain't too late to figure out something. And we're just grateful for these 39 days that are left until the King, we celebrate the King rising. As she said, that we're talking about grief tonight. And my participation in this is because my 10-year-old son, January 19th, 2019, completed suicide as a result of his continuing bullying. Now, the great part about this story is at the time, and this situation has come to devastate as any death will. We used the voice of God and the love and to point out and make people aware of several situations that are happening and that it happens in the Black community, and it could be as young as 10. And there are situations that goes along with mental health for young children. Now, when my son died, I'm sitting in his room right now. Nothing really has changed. I really haven't even picked up his toys or anything. And it's been 2 years. And from that, the great part about this story is the world grieved with me. Oftentimes, grief is very personal and it's very singular. But because of my son's death and my business dealings and just the way I've lived my life and my entire connections in the world, this story was shared all around the world. And although it brought so much hurt and devastation and grief, it also was a way to show God and how he initiated that this grief, the loss of a child, has no political party, no religion, no color, no creed, no orientation. When you are dealing with the loss of a child, and there's grief in a lot of things, but this is the one I know. When you're dealing with the loss of a child, there's no word for it. If I lose my spouse, I'm a widow. If I lose my parents, I'm an orphan. But there is no name for when you lose a child. There's a beautiful statue, and it just shows the silhouette of a body and then a huge hole on the inside. It's the perfect depiction of what it actually looks like. Each day that I get up is a triumph of God. What you need to realize in any grief, but losing a child especially, there is a paralysis that takes over you. Grief isn't only mental, it's physical. And it's literally, you cannot, you feel like something is hanging on you or holding you down. You cannot literally get up. You cannot move. And what I need to say and what I have to say is, before life's tragedies, no matter what they are, happen to you, I encourage anybody to know God first. Knowing God first, and not as a resort of maybe I need to get closer to God and all the things that happens in grief. When you know God first, you know that footprint poem, it's that part. He walks along with you, but in those times he carries you and you just have to hold on. I have to tell you that because a lot of people say, I can't see how you're smiling and things are, they know that the light is missing a little out of my eye, but the thing that is constant and that is there is my joy, because my joy did not come from my son. It is the joy of the Lord. I know that I know that God always has a plan. So in knowing that first, I was able to know that voila, my son came here to do exactly what he was supposed to do. From that, it is a joy, a pain, and an assignment to tell everybody that is somebody with ears about how I'm making it through. It is unfathomable to lose a child. The grief that a parent who loses a child, why it's different is because we were both a part of that child. And as for mothers, we shared a heartbeat. It is true. We carry them how long they're going to stay in the oven until their term, but we hold them for life. Our children keep us busy whether they are dead or alive. And I'm here to tell you that. From my son's death, God used me to travel the world to speak about suicide, to speak about, he wore a colostomy bag for a while, to speak about that in those medical communities, um, to speak about suicide and really what it looks like, especially in our community as Black women, suicide, mental health are things that are just now beginning to come into our language, and how to deal with it and what to do about it. That is now coming there. So I was able to be an advocate for bullying. I don't say activist, an advocate for bully awareness, and to do something about it. My son was an incredibly happy child. He lived 10 and a half years on this earth. And from the day he was born into from his conception to heaven's inception, this little dude changed the world. He lived a big life. He was blessed, like so many of us as Black women, or as in our community. The disparity, the proportions are incredible. Of a two-parent home. I didn't have it in my life, so it was wonderful to show our love for God. That we both loved this little boy. He was really generational, the epitome and what it looks like for generational curses to be broken. He was at home with two parents that were married, and we owned our own home. We love each other. And I say that because some people think, well, that's just natural. No, it's not. Just to speak from where didn't happen and the work it takes for it to happen. Our son knew God, loved God, and his entire life he never missed a Sunday of church, whether he went with me or with his dad. He never missed. Um, it was nothing that we crammed down his throat. We just wanted him to know the love of God. He couldn't tell you any books, any scriptures, but he knew the love of God and that Jesus loved him and paid it all. So we take pride in knowing that our son has checked his name at the pearly gate, and that he is with the one that's greater than great. And so people ask me, like, tell me, how can you be so funny? You're just miraculous. Your strength is wonderful. And for me, the people see strength. But when I look in the mirror, I see a woman that is dying of a broken heart. God will use you in your pain. Allow him to. A lot of times we think that grief is singular, that we do it by ourselves. It's important not to. Because when you're grieving, you're healing too. And I don't want people to think that that's not a part of it. It's not a part of the grieving. The healing process is to grieve, is to mourn. I miss my son every single day. A lot of people would think that that would just follow with tears, but when I look back over my life and what the Lord has done for us, and that our Lord's time is absolute. I had nothing to do. People ask, and it's been proposed, like, man, do maybe you feel a little shame or a little guilt or something that you could have done. But knowing the word, I know it wasn't nothing I can do. That is definitely something that is lifted off of me. And I want to tell any parent that is grieving their child, God is so absolute, there was nothing you can do. A lot of us, and a lot of groups that I talk to and talk in front of, the consensus is so many feet. What if I would have done this? What if I would have said that? When you know the Lord, you know there was nothing you could do. It was his time. And I'm so grateful that my son is with God. But I want to tell you guys, and this is what people don't talk about. Following God, absolutely, no matter what the tragedy or crisis is in your life, is very dangerous. Because instantly, when I found my son in this very room, I knew my son, I knew his death was a setup. It was the setup that for me, God is my babysitter. So that means I can work for him a little longer, a little more. And that is what I have to do. It's nothing that I want to do. It's nothing that I'm trained to do. But then when you surrender, you can do it. It is amazing what you can let go. And, you know, I chose my life and the path that I follow to be variety, the spice of life. So I have handled and been handled by God before my son passed away. It says the ones that God loves, he chastens. Boy, listen. Accept that spanking and then accept the responsibility, just like this show now. This is not easy to get on, to invite your friends, to ask your friends, people who even want to hear you say anything you have to say. But the thing is, like she said, her hair, she colored it purple. It makes people talk to her. It's part of her assignment. She has to say something to them, even if it's nothing to talk about, but that glimpse, that little light that has to show, that light that has to show is the one that she has to do. You must engage with other folks. We had one out of all the commandments. We had one good one: love one another, keep God first, and love everybody. Boy, that's the hardest one to do. But that is something that we taught our child, and that is something that we sent to school with him. And our son decided that he would rather not live in a world that wasn't as compassionate as he was. And for that, we have to respect that. And we say every day, I'm so proud of my son. My 10-year-old son who made the ultimate choice over his life that changed the world. We've spent time on Lester Holt's, NBC's On with Lester Holt. We went to the international community with Al Jazeera. They came and they did the suicide walk with us. I've traveled all over the world. New York Fashion Week spokesperson for Worldwide Suicide Day in 2019. I did a local, I live right here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I did a local derby keynote speaking. It is time. It was just time to be used by God. I wanted to crawl in a hole. I wanted to do that.
Miss
And
Tammy, can you tell the ladies that are watching what is something that you bumped into during this process that you were going through that you had to overcome, where you had to really put into action what those words were that God was saying, like a specific situation, and what is something that you know now that would have been good for you to hear in the moment where you were face to face with that situation? Because sometimes we go through things and it's like on top of what I'm already going through, this too.
let me tell you, going through tragedy don't let you off the hook of life.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what, my rent still need to be paid, my light still had to be on. None of that stops. And that is where a lot of people who are grieving kind of really miss their moment to fully engage and submerge in the grief. There's something very important about these 2 years that I took to fully submerge, to hit rock bottom and know that there's other levels beneath.
Definitely.
You all of that stuff has to happen, because only in those moments that you really decide, make a conscious choice to just depend on God, to follow
Absolutely.
him. Because
Absolutely.
it's our mental thing that we cannot process it all. I have friends that tell me they sitting in front of that. I'm watching a good show. I come over, the TV is off. Our mind, and it's kind of a good thing, our mind cannot handle all of it. But a lot of times we as women, we as Black women, we sure make it look like it does.
Yes,
It
yes.
is those things that you cannot push through. And I want to tell, so I wish I could tell the entire world this, and I'm glad I'm speaking to you guys, that you can not push through that thing. People say, oh, keep pushing, keep going. The devil's a lie. You better stop.
That is why it's also important to be careful what you ask God for. Because when you ask,
I missed you.
Hello?
I'm missing you.
Okay. You got the other one. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda, man of God, and I am here with you tonight as well. And I just want to first of all say thank you to Tammy for being here tonight and for sharing that wonderful story. Tammy, it is indeed a pleasure to meet you. And I just wanted to chime in on what you were saying a little bit earlier, because you said that we have to, we don't know when this thing is going to come practically. We could walk around all day, all night. We could be doing our day-to-day work, but we don't know when the storm is really going to come and hit us. And what I admire about you, because I personally, Tammy, I want to say this to you, because I don't know why, and you don't know why God brought us here tonight, but He did, and I know it was for a reason. And the more I listen to your story, the more I realize that somebody out there, Tammy, in spite of your hurt and in spite of your pain, somebody out there is not handling this too well. Somebody out there needs to see your energy and need to see your drive and need to know that it's going to be all right.
No, they don't need to know it's going to be all right. They need to believe that it's already all right.
It's already all right.
It's already, it feels like, and it looks like trying to pick up a turd from the clean end, but it's already all right. Mm-hmm. It's already there. And what's great about God knows who He picks. He didn't pick any mealy mouth, unintelligent eyes.
Absolutely. I believe
I'm not
that.
scared of microphone, a camera. I'm articulate. My mama paid good for my education. And He has already put me in a community that I am a salesperson. I have got to know what I'm talking about and be able, with good conviction, to display what I need to say. He knows who He's using, so I can't be afraid of the calling. I can't be. Now I have paused it. Now the Lord called me, and a lot of things come to me. But the things that I do or I participate in is, number one, during that time of leads me beside the still waters.
Absolutely.
Those are the times that I go.
Mm-hmm.
The water's still right there when I'm laying, when He makes me lay, because you feel obligated sometimes to people, or you feel, because maybe somebody's like, oh, maybe that's just how you're healing. And so some people, they follow those breadcrumbs because they really think that's it. You got to be able to stop. And I'm going to stop. And girl, when I say I dropped everything, and I didn't even almost try to engage or anything, I just did what God had me to do. And it was those times that I found out, being the top distributor for my company, doing the biggest thing. That's the time when I really found out that He is my Jehovah Jireh. Like I hadn't worried about anything. I ain't missed a meal. I've traveled. I've done every single thing, and I still got a roof over my head. I still own my business, and I'm not working hard. I'm not working hard now because I worked hard already. When you are engaging in something, you got to make sure you're running hard, because when you have to stop, you are so grateful for inertia. Lord have mercy. Thank you.
So I'm hearing that you sowed some seeds before this happened.
Come on now.
You
Come
did
on.
some things on your job, at your home, that God was able to carry you. Because I know, Tammy, I know you cried. I mean, I know there were mornings that you woke up and you had to cry, and that's okay. I know there were mornings or days that you couldn't get out of the bed, because I had them. I lost my father. I lost my one of my first cousin, who was like a sister to me, and another good friend of mine. I lost her to suicide. So, and my father was my best friend. So I know there were mornings that you could not get out the bed. And I know there are plenty of other people out there who couldn't get out of the bed some days. What gave you that drive? Was it 7?
No, girl. I didn't get out the bed. No. When I couldn't get out the bed, I didn't get out the bed.
You didn't get out the bed.
In my mind, I had planned it. Tomorrow I'm gonna do this. Tomorrow I'm gonna do this. And I'm supposed to do this and this today. But I realized I don't have to do anything. I don't. When I surrender God, I'm just like this. You say if I surrender to you, you got hold up your end. I don't have to do anything but the one thing. All I had to do was lift him up, and he did all the drawing. That's it. But when I did get out of the bed, when I had to go to those things that I had to show up for, they were so easy. That it wasn't pushed. And there's time, and my clients can tell you right now, I will get in my car, make it to their salon, and boo-hoo cry. I'm crying because I'm hurt, but I'm also crying that I'm happy that I ain't laying in the bed doing this. So it is not a drive that happens. It's not even a push. It is the ability to be okay with making this next step. Oh man, I can get out of the bed. Oh man, I can make the bed. I can wash the dishes. Maybe I can take a shower and get dressed. I think I can go outside. It incremental step, because at any point, I can go outside playing the entire day. I'll be outside for 2 hours and come back home right to my bed. I asked God for time. He gave me that. I asked him for vision, and he gave me that. And don't think like, God that gave you time and that you're just laying there. No, he's constantly telling you and recalling what you did do, and how making you know the connections that you did have, and that hopelessness is never an option. Hopelessness. I never felt hopeless. I never felt helpless. But it's only because, I'm sorry. It's only because it was my determination to uplift the good that this child did in the community and all over the world. He got bully bills passed. They did summits and re-education and re-information for all the schools in this large district of Kentucky. He got bills passed in our state on bullying. He was part of the gubernatorial address. His funeral was 3,000 people from all over the world. And then in his balloon, he did a balloon release ceremony, and they did that all over the world. Just let the balloon go on Facebook. Those things that made me know that my grief is, I'm not carrying it alone. But the collateral beauty, thank you, God.
Amen.
The collateral beauty that hurt me.
Right.
You have to break some eggs in order to make the omelet. And if you do it all to the glory of God, you got to really be careful with it. You have to. Because, if it's a baseball bat, I'm going to hit balls with it. I'm going to hit nails with it. I'm going to hit the ground with it. It is your permission to tell God to use you however he fit.
Amen.
And I don't feel like I'm broken. I don't feel like I'm broken.
Right.
I just feel like I'm modified. That's how I can talk to
Mm-hmm.
you right now.
That's right. So what do you say to that person who does feel broken? What are your words to them? Even in your pain, what do
Me not
you
being broke, me not being broken. First off, let me tell you, it's an anomaly. Everybody doesn't move like this.
right.
I must
And everybody's story
take
is
time
different.
to appreciate that I'm different.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm different, and people kind of get to this point, but I'm different to just come right out of the gate with it. That's what I say. If you begin to say, "Well, she's grieving like that," then I should be grieving like you know, I maybe what's wrong with
Mm-hmm.
me? Nothing's
Mm-hmm.
wrong with you. At your level, as your level of growth. I'm sorry. At your level of awareness, your level of growth, and at your pace. And that last thing is the most important. At your pace. When you get tired. And I have
Absolutely.
people that call me all the time. Their child has been dead 20 years. And they call me strangers and say, I'm still at the first day.
Mm.
Still right here. How do you do that? How did you get past the first day? They are taking pharmaceutical drugs in order to definitely help them even engage back in life. And
Right.
what I say to them all the time, you're still trying to measure you and your happiness, your productivity to before the watermark. That's unfair to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfair to life and other people
Right.
behind you.
Comparison is the thief
You
of
have to know
joy.
you will never be there. Not on that scale and that measurement. You can create another one, however high, but don't compare it to that. Don't say, well, I just want to get back to the old. She doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
It is time to create.
That,
Just like my baby's over here creating this. Purple's my favorite color. I'm a
and I get that so
1978
often.
Prince
I
fan.
get that so often. So many people,
I
purple
am
is
a
their favorite color.
1978. You know, I didn't did the whole page
When
of
I'm
words.
explaining this
That's all
story,
I got. So, you know, you stole my heart when you told me your hair was purple.
I know it. And so everybody
It's time
loves
to
that.
create and recreate. That's
Everybody
good.
loves their little children. And like you were saying, everybody's story is different. And everybody has a different path. Comparison is the thief of joy. And when we're dealing with grief, we have to understand what it is that works for us and how we need to make everything, hold on one second, how we need to make everything work for us. Because if we don't figure that out, we'll constantly get caught up in a lot of things because I'm trying to do what she did to make it happen, or I'm trying to do what he did to make this happen. And that don't work for you because you're not them and you didn't receive their lesson the way they received it. It didn't hit you the same. Like some people need a timeout when they get in trouble. And some people need to get smacked. Different people have different reactions. Like you said, for you, you needed time. When I first graduated from college, I remember, and this is after my granddaddy had passed. I remember I used to say, I'm gonna take a year off of college. I'm gonna take a year off of college. Some people need time, and then some people are like me. And that's why I said, be careful what you ask God for. I stopped coloring my hair. I'm supposed to be multitasking. This is multitasking at its best as well, you ladies. This is Black Girl Beauty. See how you can perform and be on live and speak and color your hair all at the same time? We Black women, we do it all. We wear so many hats all at the same time. And we speak about grief. And this is exactly how I have to speak about grief, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I say you have to do what works for you. Because I don't like being emotional and I don't like grieving. So if I'm going to tell you about my emotional situation and how I deal with grief, I have to do something to distract myself other than this right here. So we're going to take one more tip for that.
Hey, listen, you got to do what you got to do. It
You
is
have
important.
to.
It's important that during grief, you you allow yourself to go where, you know, you've gone to funerals like, man, she was cutting up at the funeral. When I tell you, we are always judged or feel like we being judged by who's looking at us grieve. And I got it all the time. She doesn't look like a mourning mother, or people grieve differently and all that. And when I tell you, first off, you have to decide. I don't care. I don't care what you think. I am going to have this physical reaction. I'm gonna know that I'm having a mental reaction, and you know how far you are from where the range of where you feel like you have some stability. You know, in that you have to know that you must experience it all. And I say this often, and when I speak in front of classes, they always laughing like, Terry, I just, it's embarrassing to cry in front of people. Man, I've been on national television, snot hanging out of my nose because my grief,
and that's strength.
measured by you, because you don't know how far it had to fall from my joy.
That's strength. That's a level of strength that I had to get to. In the beginning of my grieving process, like I told you, I was a freshman in college. I decided that because I was so tired of dealing with everything, I was going to take a year off. After college, I'm going to take a year off. I've been in school my whole life. I did 12 years undergrad. Then I came and did 6 years of undergrad school. And this is after high school and all of that. I'm sick of school. So I'm going to take a break and I'm going to chill after college. In 1 year, I told myself I'm going to give myself 1 year. 1 year turned into 5. Because in the midst of me taking that 1 year, the year after I graduated, my close friend that I was telling you guys about, Anissa, she committed suicide. And for the life of me, when she first did that, that's why I said you have to having a relationship with God and learning how to grieve is an amazing thing. When she first committed suicide, I'm telling you, I didn't even believe in suicide prior to her. And when
Can I
say
give you a timeout?
definitely.
Can I give you a timeout? And I do this because when we know better, we do better. And we don't take
when we know better, we do better.
We don't take the time to teach each other. Now, you said commit suicide. Now, the word is complete suicide. 100 and some years ago, it used to be a crime to kill yourself. So those are long gone. So when you talk about there's a thing about attempted suicide and then contemplating suicide. But when somebody dies from the act, it is the completion of suicide.
Okay.
So that is the language that you should use, because it really brings it home and helps you on the inside that they completed that. They did it. They had the strength to do it. They had the absoluteness to do it, and they completed it.
It's definitely a strength.
That's just I want you to throw that little completed suicide in there.
She completed suicide. I apologize.
It also helps take off the stigma that is along with suicide. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. I didn't even, prior to her completing suicide, I didn't even know, well, I didn't believe in it. Like I had that, like a lot of Black people, I had this idea, we don't do that. We don't do that. Like, we don't commit suicide. I had that whole stereotypical mindset. That was my mom.
Right.
So even though I personally knew other people that committed suicide, it's like, until it kind of hits home to somebody that you're used to picking up your phone and calling on the regular, on the everyday, and you experience it, it hits home differently. She made me open up my mind to the idea of committing suicide, what place she was in the state of it happened, what type of a relationship we had. And she also, God works in mysterious ways, because of the way she died. The night before she passed away, I had just got a new phone number. And I was in my phone and I literally went to her name and I was like, I'm gonna call her and give her my new number. And I was like, nah, she don't never call me. I'm gonna wait till she hit me up on Instagram and then give it to her. And then the next day I got the news that she had committed suicide. So I was like, what if I would have sent her my number the night before? And not to saying that I would have changed something or I wouldn't have changed something. It's just in her death, it taught me that sometimes it forced me to fix old situations that I was holding grudges on and being nasty in situations that weren't even as serious I was making them out to be, simply because there was an opportunity where I could have gave my friend one last conversation.
But that was just your part of the grieving process.
Yes, definitely.
You feel like you retain a bit of guilt, But then I always ask people, we are so small in a person's lifespan that we cannot bear the entire guilt of
Definitely not.
what would have caused. Because my sister-in-law had a thing. She was supposed to come get 7 the night before. What if I would have got a girl?
No, it wasn't meant for me to call her, because the lesson that I learned, that I learned from not calling her was what I needed to learn. And that was something that I had to, it took me time to even get there. Like the lesson I learned, like that, and I say it all the time, and in me, it's so powerful to me because we were so close. And literally in this moment when things happen, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna call her and say, I'm like, wow. And the lesson I learned from her, she taught me more in death than she ever did in life.
Not my son did that same thing for the world.
And that is what helped me grieve. That is the reason, that's one of the reasons why I dyed my hair purple, and I disciplined myself to keep it. Because like if you watch y'all, I'm not done yet, and I keep getting distracted because I'm talking. But the process of me dyeing my hair purple, I had to go blonde first. And like I said earlier, I'm a blonde queen. I want to dye blonde. It's my favorite. It takes discipline, struggle, and the determination to be the woman that I said I wanted to be, stick to the woman I said I was going to be, and push forward to see myself as the blonde beauty I love to see myself as, so curly and perfect, and then put purple on top of it. Because if you can believe it or not, it's not my favorite color. So to put the purple on top of the blonde, it's a consistent reminder, and it's a consistent discipline that I have to go through. And it all began with the grieving process, because when I first dyed my hair, I was just tired of the blonde. And I said I needed something new. I needed a different color. And I chose purple for my grandmother, my auntie, my cousin, for everybody. And that's why I'm saying grieve how you need to grieve, because it has truly helped me. And through my grief, here I am standing in front of you guys, not through my grief, beginning with my grief and pushing myself to walk into my light and be the woman that I'm supposed to be. Here I am sitting in front of you guys, dyeing my hair purple, telling you how I got purple, dealing with the grief that it caused that I had to go through with the purple process. That is Black girl beauty, ladies and gentlemen. We have to use our tragedies and our to make it better, because I didn't even know the world was gonna love the purple as much as they do. I've never met a person that didn't like the purple on me. And so many people, it's their favorite color. So many people like purple. I mean, I was never into the purple hype. Like literally, it never was one of those colors I was like, hey, purple. But after I dyed my hair, I like it a little bit more now. But people really love it. You never know what God is trying to do for you. You never know where He is trying to place you. I like blonde. Uniqua was in love with blonde. I love being Coco Blondie. But God needed me to be Coco Plum so that people can, like she said earlier, so that people can come up to me without me having to ask them, and I can tell them my story, and I can tell them about God, and I can show them that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to walk into your beauty. It's okay to be who you are in the moment that you need to be. And it's a reminder to me to be careful what you ask God for, because what you ask Him for, He's going to give it to you. I asked God to help me be the woman I needed to be in the midst of me dealing with my grief. Like, God, I know it's not going to go away. I know it's not. I know that you have to learn to be at peace with grief, because it doesn't fade. Like she said, you could wake up 10 years from the situation that happened with the exact same feeling you had in the moment that you had it, because you're just reliving it at that moment. So you need to understand grief does not end. You just have to figure out how to make it work for you. I dye my hair purple and I make it work, and I use that every day. Miss Charles, what do you do on a daily basis to keep it moving forward? Because it doesn't change, it just grows.
Keeping moving forward is always the gag, for real. Because people think that actually moving forward, you have to do something. Time is going to move anyway. You are not the same person. I don't care if I lay in the bed 24 hours. I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. A lot of times,
at all,
especially in the beginning, the only way that I got through that I was in was pure amazement of like, goodness, I made it through
Yeah,
yesterday.
revelation.
And while I'm praising and being grateful for making it through yesterday, it comes tomorrow. This has really been great. I really have enjoyed you guys, and I'm more
Thank you so much. We've
than
enjoyed
honored
you.
for I know it's a generational thing we have here, and your audience is definitely going to be different than mine. However, you're talking about being a morning mom. We range from 13 to 113. I speak at the military to a lot of yellow ribbon mom, people who didn't come back or died during service. And I lady, she was 96. Her son was like 67, something like that. And he died. She was in that booth.
Like you said, you carry them with you forever.
It's from, your audiences. I appreciate
Can't hear
you
you,
guys
Amanda.
inviting me
You're
on
muted.
here. Call me back at any time. You guys both have my number. It is within an honor luck with this. I know this is your third show, but we're gonna say it's the third of many. And
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How much this show grows you. There's a lot to do. Amanda, you know you my girl. I try to tell you, Nico, like you only getting this grace because of your mama.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. She come in handy, don't she?
Grace needs to be transferable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm waiting on you to come to Atlanta.
I can help you promote this part. You got a question?
And I have one guest on here says it's hard for her. She needs someone to talk to.
Yes, I had seen that earlier.
And that's to anybody. Ask Unique Amanda, number in the comments. I'm one of those ones. I've had the same number for 20 years. I don't care who I ask to anybody. And call unknown then.
And that is a blessing. That is Black girl beauty, ladies and gentlemen. Being able to reach out and branch to each other and be a beacon for each other when we're going through these things. That is why this platform is so important. That is why I wanted to be able to be here so that we can reach out to each other when we need. Because there's so many of us dealing with the same issues, suffering from the same sicknesses and illnesses, and having the same withdrawals. Like there are so many of us that literally sit here and watch each other talk. Like, yeah, I have a hard time talking about that too. Yeah, I don't know how to deal with that. You see, I dyed my hair purple. She got out and spoke to the world. Miss Amanda has her situation. Miss Amanda, you didn't speak about your situations either, but I'm sure you had situations where you dealt with grief and you did them your type of way. And this is an episode where I am the only unseasoned lady here. So the seasoned ladies have really come through and spoken to us and talked to us about their situation. So I do want both of you ladies to come in and really give a word to specifically a young woman that could possibly be going through something that you're going through as a seasoned woman. You see, I don't mean like what you were going through when you were unseasoned. Now that you know everything that you know and you've been through everything that you've been through, what is something that you can like a trick or a tool or something you can already go ahead and warn a young lady is gonna happen? Mr. Man,
I spilled it to you. Gave you guys all the tea. You follow God first before tragedy happens, and do it roughly. Mess up often. Only then do you really know how pliable His grace is. It is that, and everything that we've already said in this video is. And it's something that you have to hone. I didn't just get this. I didn't just pick it up. It's nothing that it's manna. You got to get it and fix it. You don't know what it is, but you definitely have to eat it. But like I said, you guys have all my information. Feel free to reach out, put it in the chat. My name is Tammy Charles. If you hashtag 7Strong or bags out for 7, you will see a lot of the things that he's done, and then be able to follow his life. What he's done in life and in death. Thank you guys so much for this.
Thank you, Tammy. It was a pleasure having you.
All right. But get back. Sure you guys back on the
I,
show
I,
and
I will
definitely keep in
definitely,
touch. Man,
I
call
will
me.
definitely do that. I would definitely do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, you call me tomorrow. We'll chat this out.
I will do that.
Thank you so
And you
Bye-bye.
guys, I just wanted to say to everyone that to answer Nico's question, I can't see myself here. That she said a word that I could give would be to no matter to just keep in mind that you can plan, you can prepare, you can do all of that good stuff, but things are still going to happen in your life that you didn't that just caught you totally off guard. And so as a woman, and because when you're dealing with grief affects every race. It doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter you know what size you are, it doesn't matter any of that. Grief, we all deal with grief. But right now I'm going to talk to Black girl beauty, because that's what this platform is all about. And I know that we as Black women, we go through a whole lot of things, but the bottom line is some things in life can never be predicted. It just happens, and you just got to pick up the pieces and keep on going. Like Tammy said, when things happen, you're not always prepared, but you keep it moving. And that's my word that I would say to that younger generation, is that just keep it moving, keep pushing, keep striving, keep going, keep dreaming, keep being who you are, keep delivering, keep striving, don't give up on yourself, no matter how hard it is. Tisha, you said you need someone to talk to. I will make sure that you get Tammy's information, because she can talk to you about that subject very well, and she's more than happy to do that. I will make sure that she gets your information. And that's that. But those are my words. Keep going, y'all. Keep pushing, keep striving. And in the end, it will all come together. The scripture that I wanted to use for tonight was Romans 8:28, which is one of my favorite scriptures. I believe I used that last week. It says, but it still applies. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So what I'm saying is things are going to happen, but we have to keep in mind that it all works for the good for them who love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. He's going to fix it. He's going to work it out. Uniqua?
Thank you so much, Miss Amanda, for coming in and giving that word to the young ladies and to everyone, period. I just want to say one last thank you to both of my guests, Miss Amanda and Miss Charles, for coming in and just giving an insight on grief, because this is a really touchy subject, ladies and gentlemen, and I personally have the hardest time dealing with it, but I'm so thankful that we were able to come in and digest it. And if I had to say anything to the younger generation or the older generation, because there is no age limit on not younger and older, the seasoned and unseasoned generation. If I had to come in and say something, I would just basically say to get closer to God and work on yourself. Because when you're working on yourself, you figure out things that you didn't really know. You understand what you need to do to get through this grief, because it's a personal journey. You don't know how it's going to affect you. You don't know how it's going to hit you. You don't know what things are going to trigger you during the grieving process. You have to forgive yourself and be willing to deal with whatever issue it is that you're going to have. And we're going to take one final, well, not final, because I'm going to finish this glass, but we're going to take another sip in that moment before we go ahead and wrap up. And as you can see, this is my hair. Good little shampoo, condition, color, and all of that. And this is Le Plum. It's actually a little dark right now. I like it when it's the color of my lipstick. And this lipstick here is called Le Plum. It is non-stick, non-smudge. Tell your man to give you a kiss, ladies. We're gonna end on that note with you seeing the plum. This was my grieving process, ladies. Through me dyeing my hair purple, I was able to step out on a platform and be able to push myself to speak for you guys, because this purple It's maintenance. It's not like when I had my hair blonde. I literally have to put in more work into maintaining the purple. I can't really just get up and go with purple because purple stands out. People see it. People want to speak to me. So it forces me to get up and push myself to get together and make myself presentable. And that is how God works, ladies and gentlemen. That is how sometimes if you allow yourself to deal with your grief, it can move you into another situation. I had no idea that me dealing with my grief and losing loved ones, because there's the thing about grief for me was there's nothing you can do to fix it. There's nothing you could have done different. So you have to deal with it the way it is. Deal with those emotions, ladies. Deal with those emotions, queens. Step outside of what you're used to doing and stop ignoring your emotions and stop trying to act like you don't feel anything and deal with your grief, because grief can get better. And be sure to give all your loved ones their roses while you can, because they won't have them. And make sure that you tune in every Thursday night for Black Girl Beauty, Chitter, so that we can come in, because right here, we discuss what matters when Black girls, Black women, Black beauty queens, chitter, chatter. Tune in next week at 8 o'clock again for another dissecting conversation with beautiful Black queens, seasoned and unseasoned. We will be speaking on pettiness, ladies and gentlemen. The conversation will be titled, Please Do Not Be Petty, because we as Black women have such a hard time just not being petty. Heard that right there. We're going to be talking about it next week, ladies and gentlemen, how not to be petty, what some things are that triggered us when we're petty, and how petty we can be to each other and the effects that it has. Tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure. Good night.